What is going on? Back again with another video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the MLB standings. We're almost pretty much at the first half of the season as we get ready for the All-Star break. So let's take a look at where these teams at because a lot has changed. We're going to start obviously in the American League, and we can obviously take a look at the teams leading the division. Currently we have Detroit, the Astros, and the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays have kind of come out of nowhere. They went on like a crazy winning streak. I think they went like 10 games in a row without losing, so pretty impressive from them. Tigers and Astros have kind of been the same. Both teams are still playing pretty good baseball. They're both probably going to win these divisions, I would imagine. The Central is so bad. The Tigers have like a 13-game lead already, so chalk that up. The Astros, I think, are probably going to beat out the Mariners. That's what it's looking like. I think they're going to be pretty solid. They currently have like a 6-7 game lead at this point when I'm recording this video. And then the Blue Jays obviously kind of come out of nowhere. We're going this crazy win streak. We'll see if they can maintain this. I think that's the big thing for them. Because the Yankees and Rays are still playing good baseball. So we'll kind of wait and see where the Blue Jays fall. But I really do think the Tigers and Astros probably have their divisions locked up by now. But let's move on to the AL wildcard teams. It's currently the Yankees, Rays, and Mariners who currently sit in the wildcard when I'm recording this video. And the Red Sox are also tied with the Mariners as well, so we can kind of include them too. So yeah, these four teams, I mean, once again, the Yankees should make the postseason. This team is really good. They've been struggling a lot recently. Obviously, they just DFA'd DJ LeMahieu, so hopefully they get better. But I know there's been a lot of talk about the Yankees, so I think they'll be fine, honestly, in the long term. I don't really see them missing the playoffs. I think they'll be fine where they are. If they win the division, we'll kind of wait and see where that kind of stands. The trade deadline's currently 3 weeks away when I'm recording this video. So there's a lot that can change in the next 3 weeks. I mean, we've seen it multiple times throughout a lot of these teams where they go on like a winning streak at this time and their organization completely flips to buying instead of selling. So we'll wait and see where we're at with the Yankees. But they're looking to buy from what I've heard. So wait and see on that. I don't think the Rays will do much at the deadline. They did make a trade today with the Orioles, which was pretty cool to get another pitcher. But we'll wait and see. I don't think they're going to make a massive splash either. The Mariners, once again, we haven't really heard much about their trade deadline rumors and everything. 4 games above 500. Have the last wild card spot. We'll kind of wait and see where they go too. Same with Boston. I feel like Boston's one of the buying teams. I could definitely see them buy. I doubt they sell, to be honest. So we'll wait and see on them. They're also tied with the Mariners right now. But yeah, it's looking like, at least for me, the Yankees will 100% make the playoffs. The Rays, Mariners, Red Sox, I think it's up in the air, honestly. So those are the 7 teams that are probably most likely, 90% to make the postseason. Then we kind of have some of these outlier teams with the Royals, with the Angels, with the Twins, with the Rangers, with the Guardians. I think these teams are in the category of like what happened and like what's going to go on during the deadline. Me personally, I don't see any of them making the playoffs. I mean, Cleveland has kind of fallen off a lot. They've gone on a pretty massive losing streak. The Twins are kind of, just there. The Rangers, once again, still can't hit. And the Royals and Angels they're just not performing the best. So we'll wait and see. If there's one team that could turn around for me, I would probably put my faith in the Royals. I think that team is like the most, likely to turn around, but we'll wait and see. Could be the Guardians as well, but they would also need to go on a completely crazy winning streak, kind of like they did with their losing streak. But yeah, these are kind of the teams that are kind of on the outside. I don't think these teams would make it, to be honest. I feel like they're all the way on the outside, and we'll see what happens with some of these teams. They could sell. I think that is probably most likely to happen. I don't think Cleveland's going to unload, even though I've heard a couple of rumors about them. I know the Phillies are interested in a lot of the players on the Guardians, so we'll kind of wait and see about that. Yeah, same with the Twins, Rangers, Angels, Royals. I feel like they're not going to sell, or maybe they'll make a couple trades here and there, but I don't think it's going to be massive. And we also haven't heard a lot of rumors about those teams either, so I don't think much is going to happen on that side. But let's go on to our next group of teams. These are the 3 teams that are not making the postseason, right? Between the Orioles, Athletics, and White Sox. These teams are out at this point, in my opinion. I just don't see it happening. I think the Orioles could sell a little bit. I really think there's a couple guys they probably could get rid of, like maybe 1 or 2 they could get a nice bag for. I don't think the A's will really do much. Maybe they get rid of Severino. We've heard kind of the rumors about him getting traded. The White Sox, if they could get anyone for Tauchman or Luis Robert, I think it would be worth it for them to do it, honestly, because those are some of their best players. But we'll kind of wait and see where those guys are. We haven't heard many rumors about these teams, really, except for the Severino stuff with the A's. But yeah, chalk it up. They got to go next year. These teams will really only be talked about the deadline, and then they'll be not talked about ever again for the 2025 season. So that's kind of your American League. We kind of have the 7 teams in the postseason race. We kind of have the 5 teams on the outside, and then we have the 3 teams kind of out of it at this point. So we'll wait and see what happens with this American League, but pretty much already kind of looking who's in, who's out, and who's going to be selling. Now going over to the National League, it's a little bit less clear, I feel like, in the National League. Let's start with our division leaders with the Dodgers, Cubs, Phillies. Once again, these leaders should probably be the same. You know, I know the Dodgers should probably win their division. I know they're on a little bit of a losing streak right now, but I think they should win. Once again, the Cubs and Phillies should be in there. I would say they look like the best team for most of the season, but the Brewers and Mets are only like a game back, so it could really go either way, honestly. But I think these three teams will make the postseason. I really don't see them not in the postseason, to be honest. If they can keep their division run, that's another question, but we'll kind of wait and see what happens with these squads. Let's go over this NL wildcard right now. We currently have the Brewers, Mets, and Giants in here. So like I said, I think the Brewers and Mets will probably make the postseason. They have a pretty good lead on a lot of the other teams. It's just a big question with the Cubs, Phillies, Brewers, and Mets, who will kind of be winning the division and who will be in the wild card. I think that's the big question you're going to ask there. So I think those 5 teams are probably secured. The Giants are the 6th seed. There are a couple of teams that could replace them, as we'll talk about in just a little bit. But I think the Giants have been playing pretty solid this season. I think the Devers trade was a real splash for them. I know this team really wants to win. They really want to get back to the postseason. They haven't made it in quite some time. So I know it'll be a huge step for them to finally make it. So we'll kind of wait and see what happens with them. We haven't really heard any trade rumors about a lot of these, front runner teams in the National League, so we just kind of got to wait on the rumors. Now let's move on to the teams outside of the postseason. Let's start with the Padres. Once again, I'm expecting them to make a splash at the deadline because they're only a game back of the wild card, so I'm expecting that to happen. We'll wait and see on what happens with them. The Cardinals have been pretty surprising this year. They've actually played some pretty solid baseball, so shout out to the Cardinals. They're a game and a half back. They probably have a shot at the postseason still because it's only a game and a half back, and we still got half of the season to play. The 2 teams I'm also going to include in this postseason, probably maybe could get in there, is going to be the Cincinnati Reds. Is going to be the first team. That's kind of shocking to say, but we've been saying this for a while that the Reds, should have a shot at this postseason. They got all this great talent with all these young rookies, and they just haven't had a quality season yet. So they're currently right around 500. We'll see if they end up doing anything at the deadline. I think that'd be really interesting. They already got rid of Diaz, for example, with the Dodgers, so we'll kind of wait and see on that. The last team I'm going to include in here is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're currently a game under 500 when I'm recording this video, but I really did think that this pitching staff was going to be absolutely elite, and it really hasn't been that way. They've really struggled a lot, so I think if they were a lot better, they would definitely be in a strong position, but really underperforming right now, which kind of sucks for the pitching staff. And we'll see if they could turn around in the second half. I think that's the big thing. You had a tough start to the first half of the season. If they can turn around, then they got a really good shot to make it, I feel like. And then the next group of teams is kind of the 5 teams out, right? We got the Marlins, Braves, Nationals, Pirates, and Rockies. First, I think the Marlins have had a pretty solid season kind of for where they're at. We figured they'd be the worst team in the NL East, and they're not. So I think it's been an okay season for the Marlins, but we didn't really expect anything crazy from them, right? So not bad season. The Braves, once again, I've heard this name talked about a lot. They just did a kind of an interview, press conference kind of thing. They said they're not going to sell anyone. They think they're going to contend next year, which I can kind of see happening. I think with all the circumstances they've been given with the injuries and the suspensions, hasn't really gone their way, and some of the players underperforming, I think that could definitely change next year. I think those guys are still really solid. I think that core they have is still really good. It's just not going to be their season this year because this team still plays like they're that good. So it's been a rough start to this season. They're not going to do much. I think they're going to be out of the playoffs. I think they'll go again next year. I don't expect them to sell much. For the Nationals and Pirates, I don't see them doing a whole lot. We know the Nationals have made some splashes in the past, right? Especially in the last trade deadline with Lane Thomas, right? I don't think they do anything here. I'd kind of be surprised if they did because I think they're setting themselves up for a really good future. I really like the Nationals rebuild, and I really do hope it does succeed because it's a great story. The Pirates, once again, we kind of know their philosophy. They're willing to trade anyone except their best players. We'll see about that. And the Rockies are also down here. Once again, I don't think they're going to do anything. They really never do. 21-72 is pretty impressive for the first half of the season, though. I will say that myself. Yeah, kind of a struggle bus for them. But I would say about 10 of the teams are still in this postseason race, and I'd say 5 of them are confirmed out by now. So we'll kind of see what happens in this National League. But what do you guys think about the league as a whole? Is there any certain team you think is going to make the biggest splash at this deadline to try to put themselves in a better position? Because there's definitely a lot of teams that could use it, right? A lot of these National League teams could, like the Giants, Padres, Cardinals, Reds. And even in the American League, right? I think the Red Sox, Mariners, and Yankees can make some good splashes as well. So we'll kind of see what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. But this is kind of where we're at going into this All-Star break. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below where you guys see these teams moving forward. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everyone.